as well as what is the meaning of confidence interval and how you can calculate the confidence interval. I'll show you in both the ways, in Excel as well as Minitab. Okay, so let's start with the data first. So you can see my column number A, it's a medication time data which I have collected, and you can find the similar data in my previous videos as well. Okay, let me just delete this residual part. Suppose this is the data you have. Okay, so whenever you are calculating the standard error or the confidence interval, you need few things such as mean or average of the data, standard deviation of the data. These two things are really important to calculate the standard error. And sometimes we also need the degrees of freedom. I'm also creating one more video only on the degrees of freedom because that's another interesting topic. Uh, for now, today, I'm going to tell you what is standard error and the confidence interval. So let's start this. So this is the data of medication time. And the mean, it's a very simple method. You just go to Excel, press average, you will get the mean, or the other way is just add in all the data points, divide by the number of data points. So number of data points are here, which is nothing but the count of this data, and we have total 34 data points. Let's go to the next one, standard deviation. I hope everybody knows standard deviation and how to calculate the standard deviation. So in Excel, there are two formulas. One is called standard deviation for sample, which is nothing but stdv.s, or if I press standard, you can find stdv.s, which is for samples, and sorry, this one, which is for sample, and stdvp for population. So if you select for sample, you will get this standard deviation for sample, and if you want to calculate standard deviation for the population, you have to select stdv.p, which you can see on the top, right? Let me increase the size a little bit, which will be more clear for you. So this is for population. Now let's go to the standard error and what is the formula for this. So it's a very simple formula. Standard error is nothing but you have your standard deviation divided by the square root of your data point. Let me show you again. So you have standard deviation divided by the square root, okay, of your data points or the number of data points. So this is your standard error for this particular data. But if you have a standard deviation for population, assume you have a big population and you already have a population data with you. In that case, you have a standard deviation for population, then you have to calculate the standard error with a different formula, which is nothing but equals to the standard deviation divided by the square root of degrees of freedom. Okay, if you see in both the cases, the standard error is same. Now, what is degrees of freedom? Degrees of freedom is nothing but the number of data points minus one. Mostly we consider, or mostly we calculate in that way. Okay, but as I mentioned, I'm creating another video for degrees of freedom in detail, why it is minus one, why not the same number of data point is equals to degrees of freedom, why not minus two and all. Okay, but for now, you please remember degrees of freedom is nothing but the number of data points minus one. Okay, so this is how you can calculate the standard error. And mostly we have the samples. For example, my line is running and I'm collecting sample 1, sample 2, sample 3, sample 4. Same way the medication time, you can see I have collected the data of 34 people. I have given the medicine and check the medication time for that particular medicine on those people. Okay, so these are the samples. So that is why we are calculating standard deviation of sample and the standard error of these samples. Okay, now this standard error is very important in calculating the confidence interval. Okay, let me repeat, this standard error is very important in calculating the confidence interval. If you see, the formula of confidence interval is equals to mean plus minus 1.65 into standard error. The other formula is mean plus minus 1.96 multiplied by standard error. Now you will think, or you will say, What is this 1.65 or 1.96? So for this, let me show you why it is 1.65 and why here we are considering as 1.96. You remember whenever, I hope you all from, most of you from Lean and Six Sigma. So in Lean and Six Sigma, we have, whenever we do the hypothesis testing, and whenever we do hypothesis testing, we use these kind of terms called standard errors, confidence interval, and most of the people don't know what is this. Okay, so that's why I'm making this video. Now, if you are from Lean and Six Sigma, definitely you will know the alpha risk mostly we consider as 0.05 or 5%. Why we are considering alpha risk of 5%? Because we are considering 95% of significance level, or in direct way we are saying we are 95% confident on our hypothesis, whatever the result it gives. And the 5%, the remaining 5% is our alpha risk. Now let me show you in other way. You can see this diagrams. So this is for one tail. One tail means your 5% alpha risk may be on the right hand side or maybe on the left hand side, but it will be on the right hand side or on the left hand side. It will not be on the both side. Okay, so if it is on both side, it will be a two tail test. If you can see on the bottom, we will talk about this later. Okay, now let me talk about one tail. So on the right hand side, if you have 5%, so remaining this area is 95%, which is your significance level. Okay, and this 5% is nothing but your one tail. Similarly, if you see left hand side, this is also your 5%, which is alpha risk, and remaining is 95%. And you can see a number on the bottom, 1.645. This is the exact number which comes from your Z table about this 5% area. 5% area means about, or I will say for this 95% significance level. Okay, how we get this 1.645? I am taking as 1.65, but the exact number is 1.645. Now I want to show you Z table, and I will tell you from where this number is coming. So let's go to Z table. Z table is something like this, right? And you can see this 1.6 is the Z score, and all these are the area or the probability values. So if you go to 1.6 and then go to 1.65, you are having 0.9505. The meaning is 95.05%. And 1.64, this is 1.6, this is 0.01, 0.02, 0.03, and 0.04. So this is 1.64, which is 0.9495. So in between these two, the value will be 0.9500, which will be 1.64 and 5, right? So between these two, so that's why you have 1.645 as a Z score, because it's talk about the 95% of your, or 0.9500 of your probability values or the area. Or on the top you can see this diagram. So this is the area which we are calculating. So that is called area under the normal distributions. Okay, so this is the area under the normal distribution with 5% of alpha risk and 95% of significance level. So the value is 1.645. So here I'm considering 1.65. If you want, you can write it correctly, 1.645. And here the formula is mean, because this is your mean, plus or minus 1.645 into standard error. So from this number you are saying mean plus 1.645, because this is mean plus 1.645 of standard error will become your confidence interval. Confidence interval means you are 95% confident about this particular area, whatever the data you have. This is called your confidence interval. If anything is out of that, then your hypothesis testing will be or your p value will be less than 0.05. Okay, I'll show you in the Minitab later on. So this area is very, very important, right? So now if you put this formula, So you have F1. F1 is nothing but your mean, so, or let me write for you. This is your average plus 1.645 multiplied by your standard error, which is 0.404, enter. So this is your confidence interval in the positive side or the right side, and this is your confidence interval on the left hand side when you have only right tail or left tail. Okay, so when you are considering right tail, this will be your number. When you are considering left tail, this will be your number. So let me calculate this. So this is your mean minus 1.645 multiplied by standard error. So this is your number 93.89 something. Okay, let me just make it even more simple, right? Let me put a simple bracket here, and to be more precise, there should not be any calculation mistake. So this is the area. Now let's talk about two-tailed test. Now sometimes in the hypothesis testing, when we are checking our hypothesis, okay, when we are checking our hypothesis for, let's say, not equal case, on the top cases we are checking whether our data is equals to hypothesized value or not equals to. Data in the sense the average mean is equals to or not equals to. But in the second case, when we are saying, sorry, greater than or less than in the first case, which is called one tail. In the two tail case, when we say our average is not equals to hypothesized value. Not equal means it can be higher or it can be lower. So that's why we have two tail. One tail is here, one tail is here. But if you see, our significance level is 95%, which is 0.95, right? But alpha risk is 5%. So that's why alpha risk will be divided 2.5% here and 2.5% here, or 0.05 here and 0.025 here. Let me repeat. So when you have two-tail test, two-tail means when you are saying your data is not equals to, not equal means it can be higher or lower. Okay, both the cases are there now. So that's why your 5% will divide into two parts, 2.5 and 2.5, which is your left and right. And then you will again in the z value or from the z table, you will try to calculate your z score. Okay, now if this area is 0.025 or 2.5%, so what will be the remaining area? That will be, let me calculate for you, equals to 100% is the total area minus 2.5, which is 97.5, or this divided by 100, I will say 0.975. So this will be the value at this point. Similarly, if I go this side, so this will be the value at this point. Now I need to check what exactly the z score at this area or for this area. So let me go to z table. Now if you see 1.9 is here and just go to 1.96, you can see here this is the value, right, of the area, which is 0.975 or 97.5%, which we are looking for, right, for 2.5% of alpha risk, which is on the right hand side. So that's why you have 1.96 here as a z score, right? So in the top case, your z score was 1.645. Here your z score is 1.96. So your formula will be mean plus minus 1.96 into standard error. So let's calculate this for the confidence interval. So now here the confidence interval will be equals to, please understand, equals to your mean plus 1.96 multiplied by your standard error. So this will be on the left or right hand part because this is added, and this is for the left hand part. So this is how you can calculate the confidence interval. Now I will tell you what is the benefit of confidence interval through Minitab, because this is really important for your hypothesis testing. Okay, let me show you that. Let's go to the Minitab and you can see, let me just delete the old data first of all. You can see the medication time data I already copy and pasted in the Minitab. Now, what we are doing is we are checking whether the standard error, whatever we calculated through Excel, and the confidence interval we calculated through Excel is same as we have in Minitab. That's the first thing. And second thing, what is the benefit of confidence interval? How it is helping us in the hypothesis testing. Okay, let me show you. So just go to stat, basic statistics, go to one sample Z test. When you go to one sample Z test, you have to select here as a medication type, and please don't forget there are two options. One is called summarized data, another one is called one or more samples each in one column. So we have everything in one column, right? And then the known standard deviation is 2.353. Why? Because if you go to your Excel file, you have standard deviation here, 2.353. So I put 2.353 here. Now perform a hypothesis test. Now understand that hypothesized mean we are considering as 95. The meaning of this is we are checking the average of our medication time data is equals to, or sorry, is not equals to 95%. That may be the first hypothesized test. The second maybe is not equals to, or sorry, greater than 95%, and the last one is less than 95%. Now how to understand that? When you select your option, so confidence interval or the significance level is 95, and the alpha risk will be automatically 5% because this is 95%. Please understand these three tests very carefully now. So the first test, which is saying our mean is less than hypothesized mean where which you are setting as 95. So first test will tell us whether our mean is less than this. The second test you can see, or the last test you can see here, mean is greater than. So these two tests are called one tail test. And here the confidence interval formula will be this, because this is one tail, greater than or less than. Okay. Now there is another test which is in the middle, which is called not equal. In the not equal case, we have two situations, one less than or higher than or greater than, because it's not equal, right? So in that case we are using this formula. So I'll show you all the three within a second. So first let's go to less than hypothesized value equals to, and click OK. When you click OK, now let me just increase this. Now see, you have here as a 2.353 as a standard deviation. Standard error of mean is 0.404, and in Excel file, if you don't forget, this is our your standard error, right? So this is same as our standard error mean, first thing. Now in the 95% upper bound, this is your confidence interval, because it is showing only one value. Why? Because it is only one tail, less than 95. This is what we are checking, right? So it is 95.225. This is your upper bound area, 95.225, right? So in our case, you can see here 95.225 upper bound. Upper bound means plus. Okay. So this is your confidence interval. Now let me show you for lower bound. Just press Control E. You will get the same window. Just go to option. Click on this one. Mean is hypothesized. Your mean is greater than the hypothesized mean. Click OK. And now here the 95% is the lower bound, right? And this is showing 93.898. It's only showing the one value. It is not showing greater than or higher than. Correct? Because it is showing only one hypothesized or one tail. It is not showing two value as a confidence interval. Okay. And it is showing 93.89 something. So 93.898. Right? Now let me show you the last one. Last one is your let me press Control E, is your not equal case. Just go to this, click not equal, click OK, and click OK. Now you see interesting thing. So here your standard error of mean is same. Here also it's same, and on the top also you have seen it's same, right? Let me increase the size for you. And let's talk this interesting part. In all the cases you have same standard error of mean, right? Here also 0.404, here also. Here you have upper bound value, lower bound value, and these value are calculated from this formula 1.645, right? Now the last you will calculate, which is not equal. Not equal means it can be less than or higher than. So in this case the confidence interval, which is called 95% confidence interval, you are getting a value of 93.771 and 95.353. The mean is the meaning of this is your value, your hypothesized mean, which is you're saying 95%, which should lie between these two areas. So 93.77 and 95.353, this is your confidence interval. So here also 95.353 and 93.77, this is your lower confidence and this is your upper confidence interval. This is plus, you can see here, this is plus and this is minus. So same thing is here. Now I will tell you now what is the benefit of this significance interval. In all these three cases, can you see the p-value? So in the upper case, this is saying what you are checking here. So your hypothesized mean is less than 95. The value it is coming as confidence interval of 95.25, which is very close to this. Or let me explain you in a simple way through this formula. I think this will be more easier for you to understand. What we are checking? We are checking whether our mean 95 is not equal, sorry, our medication time mean is not equals to 95. This is what we are checking, right? So there are two hypotheses. One is called null, another one is alternative hypothesis. So null hypothesis saying this is equals to 95. Alternative hypothesis saying this is not equals to 95. That's what we are checking. Now, if you see this confidence interval, this is from 93.77 something to 95.353. Can you tell me whether this 95 is coming between these two values? Obviously, yes, because 93.7, this is 95.3, so obviously 95 will come between this. So if it is coming between this means it is right. That's why you have p-value greater than 0.05. What is p-value? I've already made a separate video, you can see that. But p-value is telling you this is greater than 0.05 means you fail to reject the null hypothesis. It means your tested mean is equals to 95, right? And this is what is saying from the confidence interval. So I mean, if you are checking any hypothesized value and if it is falling under your confidence interval, mostly your p-value would always be greater than 0.05. Okay, now you will say, can you show it? So let me show you. Press Ctrl E, and here you select hypothesized mean as, let's say, 99, assume. Okay, so I'm checking my tested mean or my data mean is not equals to our 99. That's what I'm checking. Okay, click OK. Now here you see, this is your confidence interval 93.77 and this is 95.353. Can I ask one thing? Is 99 falling under these two area or these two interval? No, because your interval is 93.7 to 95 and 99 will be somewhere else, right? So that's why you can see p-value 0, 0, 0. So p-value 0 means you have to reject the null hypothesis. So when you reject the null hypothesis means you will say the average of medication time is not equals to 99. So indirect way, you can also check whether you are right or wrong in your hypothesized value just by your confidence interval. So that's why this confidence interval is really important. And I hope you like this video and I hope you understood